So Jessa Duggar had a miscarriage at the end of last year, and the media is coming after her, calling her a hypocrite, saying that she has betrayed her pro-life beliefs. So this is a really interesting story that's come up, and it's just kind of taken on the last couple of days. It seems as though a miscarriage is now seen by the pro-choice community, the anti-life community, whatever you want to call them. I will give them their label, pro-choice. That if you have a miscarriage and you then have a medical procedure to remove that deceased child from your womb and clean your female anatomy out, that you are having an abortion, and that there's nothing different between that and abortion. We see articles on Jessa Duggar that's come out. Jezebel.com says Jessa Duggar had an abortion even if she won't say the word. Yahoo.com in their lifestyle section, Jessa Duggar details life-saving abortion in emotional video. So it's a life-saving abortion is how they categorize it. A website that I cannot say the name of said anti-choice, anti-abortion activist Jessa Duggar had an abortion procedure. Oh, they didn't, says hypocrite Jessa Duggar Seawald has a DNC, crosses that out, abortion after miscarriage. Jessa Duggar says she had a DNC. How does that differ from other abortion procedures? This was from People magazine. Now this is an interesting thing that People magazine also ran an article called Jessa Duggar reveals she had a miscarriage, that it takes more of the emotional thing. I mean, this goes on and on. We've got MSN, we've got Philadelphia Inquirer, Arkansas Gazette. I mean, all of these magazines are just coming out and trying to link what Jessa Duggar went through with having an abortion. So what they're trying to do is say that there is no difference between a miscarriage and an abortion. And that's like saying that there is no difference between manslaughter and first-degree murder, right? There's no difference between an accident and intentional ceasing of a life. There's a huge push by the media, a huge push by I would say by the rulers of this world, wherever you define those as whether it's people or something a little bit more sinister and spiritual, to redefine terms and to redefine our understanding of knowledge and the way that we apply things, the way that we associate things, redefining of terms. I mean, we can go back even into Genesis, where the enemy, Satan, the snake in the tree at this particular as that snake became an instrument of the enemy to use to tempt and to try to confuse Eve and Adam. That was the first redefinition of truth, right? Did God really say this? And that's kind of what's going on here with this abortion argument. And it's really interesting as all of these publicists and people are bringing this to the forefront. They're trying to get clicks. I mean, you can see this in People magazine. If you go online and you do a Google search for Jessa Duggar abortion, you get one set of results that come up from People magazine, will be in that kind of initial set. And then if you do a search on Jessa Duggar miscarriage, you get another set. And you can see like People magazine is just trying to get clicks. They're trying to feed you what you're looking for. And this is really important to know as Christians, as we use the internet for research, because my heart goes out to Jessa Duggar and her family and the loss that they went through. I mean, 1 in 4 pregnancies, I believe is the most recent statistic, end in miscarriage, where something just does not go through and the child dies of natural causes by some sort of deficiency or imbalance or whatever would be causing that. Nobody goes in there with a scalpel or a set of pliers or acid to end the life of this baby. There's a very significant difference between murder and death. But the media is going in and trying to redefine these terms so that we associate good with evil and evil with good. And when we go in and do these searches, we can see People magazine, they just want clicks. So they're trying to feed whatever you're looking for, they just want to reinforce it. Because they don't really care about getting you the truth. They care about getting you to click. They want you to click on it so they can pay their advertisers and they make money, and that's their business model. We often talk about this verse in Timothy as a passage that is dealing with doctrine, but this is very applicable outside of that, right? So if we go into 2 Timothy 4, starting in verse 3, I'm reading in the Amplified Version because there's a little bit more context to it, kind of explanation of terms. So if you're used to reading ESV or NIV or King James or something like that, this would sound a little bit different, but it has kind of some amplified meanings of specific words to highlight some of the intentions of the original language. And it says, "For the time will come when people will not tolerate sound doctrine and accurate instruction that challenges them with God's truth. But wanting to have their ears tickled with something pleasing, they will accumulate for themselves many teachers, one after another, chosen to satisfy their own desires and to support the errors they hold, and will turn their ears away from the truth and will wander off into the myths and man-made fictions and will accept the unacceptable." So this passage in Timothy is, again, most often in the church talking about false doctrine. But if our doctrines are the understanding of God's truth, then anything that goes against God's truth is false doctrine. So whether we are hearing that from a pulpit or from the world, we're still battling against false doctrine. And where do most people go to get their doctrine, their way of living? They go to the internet. They go to the influencers of our day. And that is just as much false teaching. This is just as much where people will go to get their ears tickled as anywhere else. And People Magazine knows it, right? They're going to try to tickle your ears because they don't care about giving you truth. They just care about you clicking on something. They care about popularity. They care about clicks. So when we look at this and we look at how the world's handling it, there's an important lesson for Christians to take from it. And that is, how do we discern truth? And there are some things here that we can analyze, right? First off, when we look at the Jessa Duggar situation, all of these articles saying that she had an abortion, they're slanderous. If we go to her response, her personal statement, she says she had a miscarriage. We look at these articles that say medical professionals say that there's no difference between a D&C and an abortion. And it's just not true. They're taking that out of context. The D&C happens after you had a miscarriage or after you had an abortion. The D&C is not the causing element of death in the child. The causing element is what differentiates a miscarriage from an abortive procedure. You don't need to commit an abortion or have an abortion on a child that is still alive. The procedure is not necessary because the child is already dead. All you have to do is go in and clear it out. So to say that there's no difference is trying to cause confusion, trying to associate something that is tragic but natural and happens with something that is purposeful and tragic and evil. So when we look at these two things, there is complete difference. But the world doesn't want us to see that. And the world is being used to reinforce beliefs that you have and to feed you justification and any doubt that you may have. So what happens is we go in and we're curious. We do a search. We go and we find this article about having a miscarriage, and it's talking to us now about abortion and options that you have. When we were just looking to see our celebrity gossip on Jessa Duggar. And this is the way it works. And as Christians, we have to look at who is saying this. We have to think about what is their trustworthiness in general. What is their authority in that situation? So in this particular thing, who are we going to believe more? Are we going to believe Jessa Duggar, who says, I had a miscarriage? Or are we going to believe, random celebrity gossip magazine who says Jessa Duggar had an abortion just so that they can get clicks? It's ideas like this that we have to not only equip ourselves with and be cognizant of, to be careful what we read online and look for authority and who is saying this and why we should believe them, what is their experience, what's their expertise, and what is their history on other things that we know to be truth. Can I trust a doctor who can't even tell the difference between biological sex and gender? Who can say, oh, gender is this socially constructed thing and separate that out, but biological sex is different than that, and those are two completely different things. Well, I'm not going to trust that doctor's opinion because this is something that is fundamental to the human experience, has been for thousands of years. And if they can't see that lie that the culture is putting out, then I don't really trust their judgment. So as Christians, we need to be on guard. We need to be ready to look towards our greatest authority, which is the Word of God, right? We can come back to the Word of God. We can see this isn't just blind faith. I mean, this has history. This has translation. We can go back to original languages. There's exhaustive academic study. There's copies that are ancient. We can know that this is what was written, that these were the people that wrote it. And we can do that study to test the authority of Scriptures. And that test has been done by thousands and thousands of people through hundreds and hundreds of years as the church has developed since not just the birth of Christ, but even going before that into the Old Testament Scriptures. So we have the greatest of authority as Christians to appeal back to. And that's what we really need to do. We need to test authority. We need to look at who is saying what and why they're saying it so that we can be on guard from the lies and schemes of the enemy, even if those lies and schemes of the enemy are coming from your friends on social media, the gossip magazines on the internet, or a random TikToker who's spewing whatever their opinion is. So be on guard, folks. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully you got a little bit of information on this particular social conversation, but a deeper look at how we should approach the internet and some of the dangers that are there. God bless you guys. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.